Just yours alone. We recognize that the Hogan Administrative Center occupies the land of the Ho-Chunk people. Please take a moment to celebrate and honor this ancestral Ho-Chunk land and the sacred lands of all indigenous peoples. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Ms. Baumann? Here.
Ms. Berkedal?
Here.
Dr. Cooper Stoll?
Here.
Dr. Garcia?
Here.
Dr. Jimenez?
Here.
Ms. Leahy?
Here.
Mr. Korberg?
Here.
Mr. Spivey?
Absent. A quorum of the Board of Education is present, so the special meeting of September 6th, 2022 is called to order. And we will now have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and face the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Tonight's agenda has previously been distributed to the board with a motion by Mr. Korberg and a second by Ms. Leahy. We will approve the agenda as submitted unless there is a motion to amend. Is there any motion to amend? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion has carried, and we'll move on to the appointment to the Board of Education and reducing the candidates per bylaws, page 02, filling of the board candidates. Each board member is going to vote for 4 candidates. The superintendent will end up collecting the votes and tally the responses along with the board secretary. The top 4 highest vote getters will advance to the interview phase, which is going to be held at our next regularly scheduled board meeting, which is September 12th, 2022. And that meeting will be held at 6 p.m. In the event of a tie, the board will vote separately on those candidates. And if the tie is not broken, then both or all of the candidates will be interviewed. The interview questions will be provided in advance of the interview to the candidates who will be interviewed. So this comes from our board policy, our board bylaws, page 2, the filling of board vacancies. So we will move forward with reducing those candidates, if at all possible, down to 4, according to our bylaws. So the board secretary, Ms. Sagerwald, has provided each of us sheets of paper. So if you could, please, at this time, take the sheet of paper with the number 1 in the upper left-hand corner, and please mark down the 4 candidates that you believe you'd like to see advance to the interview phase, and fill out the ballot completely, and then please pass them forward this way, and then I will pass them to the superintendent.
So different minutes, are we just checking?
Yes,
4,
just
or
checking
writing
4.
them down?
No, we're just checking 4.
Oh, I didn't sign it. Okay. I'll get it signed.
Do you want me to come here?
As those votes are being tallied, I will read a portion of the bylaws that is pertinent to tonight's voting here. So once we have the 4 votes here, each board member shall vote for 4 persons, with those receiving the most votes selected. In the event of a tie, the board shall vote separately on those persons. If the tie is not broken, then both or all of these persons shall be interviewed. So that means, according to my reading of the bylaws, there's really only 2 rounds of voting that we will go through. So after that second round of voting, if whoever or how many ever candidates we have, if we did not reduce down to 4, then that will be the candidates that will move forward. So if we want to have a conversation about that ahead of the second round of voting, this would be a good time to have that conversation if there's a different perspective. But otherwise, yes, ma'am.
Would you like to include a vote for Shonda?
Yes, Mr. Spivey. So if you'd like to include your vote on that sheet of paper there in front of you, with the number 1 in the upper left, if you could fill out the ballot completely and just check off the 4 names that you would like to see move on to the interview phase. And then just pass it down to Ms. Stegerwald.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So we have the results of the vote. We have Craig Brownell with 5 votes, Gary Germanson with 0 votes, Brent Hannaful with 6 votes, Jason Jones with 3 votes, Kimberly Krajcik with 0 votes, Emily Moots with 8 votes, Jason Stratman with 3 votes, and Anita Wood with 7 votes. So according to the vote, then Emily Moots, Anita Wood, Brent Hannaful, and Craig Brownell would be the 4 people who would move forward to the interview phase on September 12th. So that will conclude the voting because we do not have a tie. So then Ms. Steigerwald will be sending out an email to those candidates along with the interview questions, and we will invite those individuals back to the September 12th meeting. And for those individuals who did not make it to the interview phase, first off, we just want to say thank you very much for the willingness to step forward and be part of this process. We really appreciate the time and effort it takes to move forward in such a public process. So thank you very much for that. So with that, that will conclude that portion of the agenda, the appointment. And we will move on to the matters reserved for board action, which is the approval of the interview questions for the Board of Education candidates. Could I have a motion to approve the interview questions for the Board of Education candidates as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the interview questions for the Board of Education candidates as presented.
Second.
Thank you. So a motion by Mr. Corberg and a second by Ms. Birkendahl to approve the interview questions for the Board of Education candidates as presented. Now I'll open it up for discussion. So is there any discussion on the questions as they were put forward to the board?
I have one for number 3.
Yes.
Just the leading sentence.
Mhm.
Operational expectations, policies are what we expect our students to be able to learn. Is that accurate, since they also deal with facilities, and so it's what they're expected to learn? I understand that the learning environment, but in general, operational expectations, I've always thought of as more of how we expect the district to be run.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So we can definitely change that. I think, again,
The wording.
quick drafting, I was focused more on OE 10, so I focused
Yep.
on the learning, but you are absolutely correct. So how would you want to change it, Dr. Cooper-Stowe?
No, I mean, I think you could just take that whole first sentence out and just put in one of our operational expectations policies is OE 10.
So, wish I had my Word document. Let me see if I have it. Give me 1 second. It does not look like I have it. Okay, but I get the language. So one of our OE is OE 10, right?
Which is reinstatement of the first.
Yeah,
Just remove, yeah.
okay.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So we can definitely do that. Any other suggestions for amendment? I'm not hearing any. Okay, so then, to follow Robert's rules, then I'm going to ask Ms. Baumann to make a motion to amend.
Okay.
So,
I'll make a motion to amend the questions for Board of Education candidates. Do you want me to say specifically to remove the first sentence in number 3?
yep, you just said it.
Okay.
So, and Dr. Cooper-Stoll will second that motion. So, any questions, comments on that amendment? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion has carried. So now we will move to the approval of the whole thing, so the approval of all the questions. So all those in favor of approving the questions for the Board of Education candidates, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion has carried, so we have approved those questions, and those questions will be the ones that will be forwarded on to the candidates when Ms. Steigerwald sends the email to those candidates. Thank you very much, everybody, and with that, we are adjourned. I appreciate it. Thank you.